Welcome to Clueless with Ogre and Big Paulie. Welcome to another episode of Clueless with Ogre and Big Paulie. How are you, Big Paulie?
G'day, Ogre. I am well, mate, and I'm excited. It feels like we haven't done an episode for ages. We pushed a couple through before Christmas and had them in the bank, or the vault as we like to call it in the industry, and then we've had a few weeks off with Christmas and New Year and a bit of this and a bit of that. But tonight we are back, Ogre, and it is the highlight of my week. Highlight of my week, Ogre, which is, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but how are you, mate?
I'm pretty good. And question for you, 2026 is upon us. How long can you say Happy New Year to someone? When is your cut-off period? If you've seen them for the first time, when do you no longer say it?
Oh, look, I reckon face-to-face and with friends, God, it's got to be a week, doesn't it? But in my line of business, Ogre, I'm on the phone all the time trying to drum up some business. So, I try to lead in. Even now, look, last week, this week, Mr. and Mrs. Potential Vendor, Happy New Year to you. Welcome to 2026. So I'm rolling with that. Still, I reckon I've got another week or two up because I haven't spoken to these people. Yeah.
Mid-Feb.
And they go, well, thank you very much, but who's this again? And then I have to explain myself and go back into that. And remember, last time we spoke, it was 2025, and you said you weren't doing anything real estate. Just wanted to check in the new year if there's anything changed since we last spoke. And that's how she's rolling at the moment, Ogre. Happy New Year, and just let it all out.
Well, we'll say Happy New Year to our listeners. 2026 could be a big one, Big Paulie. And another thing I wanted to ask you, Big Paulie, I'm just wondering, we are in different states, Big Paulie, and I just want to see, is it the same? And are you feeling the same as I am about something in particular? It's been around forever and a day, and it's the courtesy wave when you're driving the car. You pull over, you let someone come past. How do you find the courtesy wave up in the Sunshine Coast? Are people into it? Some, not many. What's your percentage range, or is it still about?
I think it's the universal language. I tend to find myself, Ogre, yelling through the windscreen at those who don't give me the courteous wave. You get there and you let them in, and then nothing. That infuriates me, to be honest. So it's certainly no better in Queensland, I can assure you of that. They drive like lunatics up here, no idea. And I think most of the time is because half of them are from interstate and they've got their interstate number plates on. They don't know where they're going. And it's like, these people pull in front of you or go up there and don't put their blinker on. I give those who haven't got the Queensland plates the benefit of the doubt, because I was once a tourist and I once who drove up around here with the Vic plates on, and it gives you a bit of leeway or a bit of an excuse, I think. But no, I'm with you, Ogre. If somebody lets you in or does something on the road, you've got to give them the thanks up, mate. I give them 2 or 3 just to make sure they see me, Ogre. Like, you give the one over the back of the head, as you go through, and then as you pull around and straighten up, you go out the window, give them another one, because I don't want them thinking that Big Paulie didn't acknowledge their gift of entry or their gratitude.
Well, I've noticed I'm in a different area in the past 15, 18 months, and not far from where I was, and I've got a young fella learning to drive. He's done about 45, 50 hours, so I'm teaching him the courtesy wave. If he's pulling over, letting someone through, or the same, and as soon as they're not giving it back, I'm going, what an arsehole. You've gone from just a nice courtesy wave, thank you, to getting a little bit upset and angry about it, Big Paulie. I was at Bunnings before Christmas, and this guy in the car park, I let him in, and he gave me the big thumbs up. I thought, this bloke's the best bloke in the world. Thumbs up, out the window, good on you, mate, Merry Christmas. I'm going, that's what it's all about, Big Paulie. The courtesy wave, it should be around, should be mandatory, and as you said earlier, should be universal. So all listeners out there, get on board if you're not already. And if you've forgotten about it, be aware. Little hand up. Doesn't even take much. Big Paulie, I know you're at the Tesla. You only need one hand on the steering wheel, and even the fingers. You don't even need the thumb off the wheel. Just give them a little nod, little wave, say thank you, and on your way, enjoy your day because you've done a good deed today.
Well, Olga, your timing's interesting because I may have had a little incident today. So here I am minding my own business, right? I'm in the left-hand lane. I've just jumped on the freeway. I've got my little map organised where I'm going. And anyway, I was listening to listening to myself on the podcast, to be honest with you. But anyway, so my mind may have been detracted slightly, but I was driving along and I thought, oh, there's a car coming up. I'll just swing into the overtake and, and go on my way. Not speeding, but his car in front was a bit slow. Anyway, I put the blinker on, as you do, and I half went to move out. And, these days you still turn over the right shoulder, Ogre, like good drivers you do, or we did, back in the years. And and I can't believe it, just as I've gone to move out, I've seen the car in my he was in the blind spot. Don't know what the bloke was driving me blind spot for, but anyway, so I see him. I don't even change lanes and say, oh, okay. And surprisingly enough, the Tesla didn't start, yelling and screaming. So it couldn't have been too bad, right? So, okay, so I'll give him the wave. Sorry, mate, thinking that, he's given me a spray. He's given me the dickhead spray and, pointed to his head and all that sort of stuff. And, oh, gee, I had to just calm the jets a little bit, Ogre. I was a bit wound up, I tell you. Lucky I was getting off at the next X, but I could have been chasing him all the way to Noosa, I reckon. So just be courteous on the roads, people. That's all we ask for.
And there's no rush. But here we are, Big Paulie, 2026. We've got a new guest today. So new year, new guest, and Big Paulie, it's a first. We have our first female guest. And right here, right now on Clueless, I'd like to introduce her right now. We have Heidi Shaw. Welcome to Clueless, Heidi.
Woohoo! Hello, boys. Happy New Year.
Hello, Heidi. Welcome.
Happy New Year.
It is such a... Hang on. No, it's okay. Happy New Year still.
It's a courtesy wave.
Courtesy wave.
Are you a courtesy waver, Heidi?
I am indeed. Absolutely.
How are you finding the vibe?
Yeah, I may not be as exaggerated as Big Paulie. I don't tend to go out the window. I'm more the tap, thank you. But yes, I am. And it does pee me off when people don't do it. Absolutely.
Oh, you think it's toned down from years gone past?
What, the wave? What people...
The wave.
Yeah, you just need the...
Come on. I think we got to get on board. Well, we have a protest soon about courtesy waves, I reckon.
I get a little bit frustrated in the car and, but I can sort of, wind it back and go, okay, just get on with your drive. But the bride, Shazza, oh my goodness, does she go off in the passenger seat? A few times she starts carrying on and she says and all sorts of things and I say, listen here, just calm down with you, Shazza. I said, these days, some bloke will get to the lights and jump out and take her back to the car or something. I said, it's okay for you. He won't touch you, but poor Big Paul, he'll wear one between the eyes and kick the Tesla in and, oh, God. So,
and then you'll go viral, though.
Yeah,
see, it's not the same.
Yeah, we don't condone road rage, but just a little wave will just see us on our way, I reckon.
You'll be seeing you on TikTok in no time. Now, Heidi, we're going to cover off a few things tonight, but I just wanted to bring it up to speed on Big Paulie. We've spoken about our previous radio history together, but you were on radio back in the early 2000s in the first stint on radio at Southern FM. I think you might have been on the first show called The Natrine, or then followed up with the Toast Burners, which I did carry over to Inner FM with Big Paulie. So, yeah, claim to fame, one of the OGs right here, right now, Big Paulie.
Yeah, I am in esteemed company.
I think we had one listener, didn't we? Remember that truck driver used to ring? There was it's like our one listener.
I had it. That's one listener who's calling in, all right? One listener calling in.
First time listener? No. Long time listener, first time caller.
Yeah. Only time listener, only time caller.
Oh my God.
We had one at Inner FM too, Big Paulie.
I'm trying to remember her name.
And it was an elderly woman. I bet he's come to mind, but she would ring us just for encouragement, just to make sure, just so you know there's someone out here.
But she's listening on the tranny probably. You know, your grandparents always had a transistor next to their beds. My parents and grandparents did. Yeah.
And I'm not sure, don't think I ever told you, Ogre, but that was me nana. She just used to ring and make sure we were okay. Because that was an early start. So was it an early start for you guys? You were the original Toast Burners. So I remember, Ogre, we were a 5 o'clock start, get up at 4 o'clock and off you go, et cetera, et cetera. Were you guys same time for you guys? Yes. It's an early start to the day, isn't it?
Well, I had a few times. It was 4 to 6 was number one on a Saturday morning. It's a Friday night, Saturday morning, 4 a.m.
They always put the good stuff on first.
You got to start somewhere. and then that went to 5 to 7, and then got to Wednesday. So I can't remember which part of that you were, Heidi, but wherever it was, help me get wherever it went to.
It was early because I remember it being pitch black and having to walk up those steps at the back of that building.
Yes.
Like, pitch black, yeah.
That was a safety issue as well, and getting into the joint was always a challenge.
There was no OH&S back then. Every man for himself.
Oh, yeah. And you're talking about the super, but
Yes.
you're talking about the shopping centre, Big Paulie. We were just
Paulie.
at the council building that was just up the back and into the studio.
Look on the bright side, Ogre and Heidi, you must have been okay. You must have been pretty good, because imagine how bad the bloke was doing the shift 2 a.m. to 4 a.m. before you.
Was there someone, or was it like just pre-recorded music?
I think it was
can't remember.
Radio National bringing us the best tunes.
Yeah, that's right.
From the
Well,
most
soon.
regional areas. We get all the...
Good morning, listeners. You are listening to whatever FM with Heidi and Ogre, and a great good morning to you.
That's pretty
You're
much.
waking up with the best. Hey, is that how it
God,
went?
it makes you feel old when you realise how long ago that was. That is
I know.
frightening.
Well, yes, there's some
Absolutely.
hidden tapes out there, and again, once you find the tapes, you need to find a tape deck to play them in. So technology is well and truly advanced. Yeah.
Flash converters.
And that shows how you were a little bit older than us, or started a little earlier than us, Heidi, because we actually, and I've spoken about this before on air, Ogre.
Sorry. Back the track. Hang on. Did you say I'm older than you?
What I meant to say, sometimes I get my words mixed up. What I meant to
First
say
and only female ever on your show. Is this where we're going?
is you started earlier than me in radio, not older than me, so I apologise. But
Thank you.
And now you've lost me there for a moment. But you started earlier. But you talking about a tape, a best of tape. We pressed a CD in our day. We had the best of the toast burners. But that reminds me of a little story this morning. This is true, as they always are. Got in the lift this morning, right? So talking about age. So got in the lift this morning with the bride and a couple of tradies. Early in the morning they were coming to do some work. Anyway, the tradie says to Shazza, he says, "Oh, off to work, are you?" Yeah, we're both going to work. He says, "Oh, I thought this was a retirement village." So I couldn't help myself, and I said, "Hey, mate, what are you saying? She's old." And oh, mate, you should have seen the bloke. For 3 floors, he couldn't get his jaw off the floor, and he apologised 83 times, and he could not get out of that lift quick enough. I tell you. So I've been involved in a couple of age blunders, let us say, today.
Now, Heidi, we want you. There's a myriad of, we get to our age. There's a lot of different things we've done, but I want to, we can cover lots as we go on tonight. But I wanted to touch on initially your experience in the midwifery world. And the first question I have for you around that: are they still called midwives, or is it parenting practitioner?
No, midwives in a hospital. Absolutely, midwives. Okay. Yeah.
Surely the woke police have got hold of that and going to change it to mid-person or something like that.
I know, because you don't breastfeed anymore. You chest feed. So
Oh, really?
Have you heard that?
Yeah. No, well, as I said, we're clueless about these sort of things. Now, Paulie and I have had children, but a long time ago.
Yeah. That was the latest woke thing. It's like, no, I just don't think, you have to have breasts, you have to have boobs, you have to have boobs to feed, so breastfeed. So no, it is still called midwifery, which is interesting because actually I was talking about this the other day. I think there's only 2 men registered as midwives in Victoria, so it is a very female-oriented workforce for sure.
And it wasn't something you initially set out to do. You went and did that a bit later in life.
Yeah, I had my kids. I had 3 kids and had 2 of them in special care nursery, complicated births, and that inspired me. So I'd always been in that field. So like you said, I was a parenting practitioner. I was a kindergarten teacher actually in my first life, and which is what I would have been doing when we started our radio show, and then went back, had the kids, and went back to uni as a mature age student, which was the best thing I ever did. I don't know how I bloody did it, but it was the best thing I ever did. Yeah.
The studying was, you can't believe, of getting back into that whole zone.
Yeah. Midwifery, it's really doing the degree is full on because there's a lot of clinical work. So you're in a hospital 2 days a week getting not paid. You get peanut. You don't get paid. So 2 days work, the rest uni. So it's a lot, but I'm glad I did it.
Was your inspiration to become a midwife a bit like a lot of professional careers? A lot of people in real estate get into real estate because they say the experience they had selling their home was so bad and these people are making money that surely I can do it better. So was your inspiration to midwifery, or was that because, geez, I've had 2 kids, these people are peanuts, they don't know what they're doing, so I'm going to come back and do it better than them? Was that the drive?
No, probably actually the exact opposite.
Oh, really?
Probably the exact opposite, going, oh, my God, this is bloody amazing. Like, you get to be there to watch a baby born every day. That's incredible. I'd love to be part of that. So, yeah, very much inspiration. Yeah, for sure.
And how many babies have you been part of their birth?
Yeah, that's such a good question. When I started as a student, I remember meeting midwives that had a book, like they write boy, girl, you know. I thought I'd do it and I didn't. Yeah, well, and that's absolutely. I worked with a very, very funny obstetrician and the baby be born and they'd be like, and most people know these days, 98% know what they're having. They do the test, they find out. But those that don't, and he'd be like, it's a boy.
They get the pinata and the big stick.
Yeah. Or, you know, have you seen the some of the gender reveals? Have you seen the ones with the tyres? Like they're in a court. Barry Bogan's out in Cranbourne. Sorry to any Cranbourne listeners.
Hey, hello. Some of our best listeners are from Cranbourne, but anyway.
I know. That. And they get it in their tyres and they do burnouts. And whatever smoke comes out, pink or blue smoke comes out, indicates what child you're having. There's some things out there. But yeah, this obstetrician, like, you know, the baby born, and he's like, it's a girl until it chooses to be a boy. I'm like, you actually can't say that these days. You actually can't. Like, yeah.
Well, that's where it all starts. Now, I don't know how to broach this, Olga, but it's always bothered me is not quite the right word, but I've always found it interesting. You go out with your girlfriend and becomes your wife or not, or your partner, and have a child. And all of a sudden, and she's pregnant and she goes and sees the obstetrician and all that sort of stuff, or the paediatrician, whoever it is. Now, normally in the field of play, okay, you know, you're out the club or whatever, and if somebody even sort of touches your little old doll, you know, you get a bit jumpy and all that sort of stuff. But I still can't understand how, and I know you have to do it, but how do you allow a man with a piece of paper who's been to school for 7 years touch your wife and do all these things and be comfortable with that?
Would you be referring to what we call a vaginal examination in the industry?
Oh, please. I'm starting to blush. I think that would be at the top of the list, but there'd be a few after that, I would think. Olga, there's nothing like bringing a woman to the conversation to smarten things up. So, and as I said, and I think we're going to touch on this, and we didn't probably say at the start, we're called clueless, and we've got you on particularly because we're clueless about vaginal. Well, if you let me finish, examinations. The other stuff, well, you know, some have had more experience than others.
We'll keep it clinical. Yeah.
Yes, but so we want to learn about those things as we go, and I'm sure we will. But has that not ever bothered you, Olga? Did you ever think about that, or is that just me?
I just felt like they were. I never thought about it. I thought, well,
did you ever ask for the gynecologist or the PE, whatever they're called? Did you ever ask to see his degree? Like to give him, allow him to do those examinations?
Generally, they're on referral anyway. Someone's mentioned them, they're nearby, and away you go, and you have a good experience.
I don't know where your wife or your shadow or your bride was taking you for her examinations.
Oh, well, I tell you,
maybe I don't think she took him at all for a particular reason,
and that's why I remain clueless. Yeah, but I do recall, I think, going to breathing classes or whatever they were or something.
Oh, yeah, like antenatal classes, yeah.
I think so, yeah. I didn't go that well.
So, Heidi, no idea about how many you've been part of?
It'd be in the hundreds, yeah, for sure. Yeah, it would be. And actually, it's funny, when you were talking before about the courtesy wave, there's a bit of a thing, because I have lived and worked in the same community, which is not really ideal sometimes, depending what you do. And I'll be at the supermarket and my husband's like, that couple is staring at you. And then I get and I'm like, oh, shit, yep. They had their baby with us. And then my husband will be like, right, so you've seen her vagina?
we're obviously we're wired differently.
How long's the course, just out of it? Asking for a friend, how long's the course for a gynecologist?
Gynecologist is long.
Asking for a friend.
Honestly, it's so clinical.
Oh, we're wired differently. Just for dunks to come out with.
When you do something like that, you're not thinking about it. It's not. Yeah, you're doing it to work out where that baby is and what's going on. You're not. It's in no way inappropriate, depending on who you go to and where you go, I guess. But no.
I'm glad we chose well.
We don't need you to bring one up, Big Paulie, either, in case you found one. Now, Heidi, it's a beautiful experience, really. Becoming a parent is one of the gifts of life, I believe, anyway. Enough so time we did it 6 times. And you're sharing that experience with like I'm explaining this as being a parent, but you as the midwife in your job, you're sharing that as well. There must be, some great highs, but some lows as well. Well, let's talk about the highs. How do you feel about being part of that, wonderful experience?
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. Midwife actually means with woman. And really, if you talk to most midwives, that's why they do it, because it's about that connection with woman and with a woman. Primarily, I mean, you blokes are there by byproduct, but generally it's about that connection that we have, and that women are amazing and so strong, and that we are there in those most vulnerable moments, that women are, it's you lose your shit and you get emotional and they get angry and all that. So it is an honour. And it is, every time you see a birth, it doesn't matter how many you've seen, it's a miracle. It's incredible, absolutely incredible. And watching parents fall instantly in love is nuts. And particularly the men, they're the ones that always get me. If the dads start crying, I'm like, oh God. So it's really special. Yeah.
I was crying at one of my child's birth, and I must say it was a great experience. The labour was long. I think I watched 3.5 games of football, and in the birthing suite, and I was crying because there was about 7 minutes to go, and then I think Emily came along then, so I missed the end of the game.
So rude, isn't it? That's like my dad. I asked my dad what day I was born, and he was like, "Well, I had to leave cricket practice, so it must have been a Tuesday or a Thursday."
No, he narrowed it down. Yeah. He narrowed it down, which is actually a good question too. These days, have things changed in your experience about how many males, let's go with that, males being present in the birthing suite or during the actual pregnancy? Has that changed a lot in your experience?
Not for me, probably, because I've only really been doing midwifery for 15 years. So we would question if the dad or the baby daddy wasn't there. So it's pretty unusual. Most men choose to be there and are there. Occasionally you'll get, I remember one where we were like, where is he? And she's like, nah, he'll be a pain in the ass. He's better off not being here. Well, okay. And so she chose to have a mum or a sister or someone, but 99.9% of the time, baby daddy, well, hopefully his baby daddy, you never know, do you? But, their partner will be there with them. Yeah.
Now, just coming back, we're just coming back to the high percentage of females as midwifery and midwifery is with women, you said? So I've got that definition right?
Yeah.
And they're going through that experiences, and I'm not saying you worked, but they're 2 men. Like you turn up and then there's a male midwife.
Yeah.
What would that reaction be? You may not have experienced it.
You'd want to see his piece of paper, I reckon, Olga.
Yeah, but see, what's really interesting about that, and good on the guys for doing it because it'd be incredibly challenging, but you wouldn't, what I find interesting there is a lot of people have a male obstetrician and you don't question that, but you question a male midwife.
Yeah.
So there's kind of a imbalance there, but I do, and this is probably controversial. A lot of it is women's business. It really is. Like when you're helping a woman breastfeed and when you're helping her get dressed after and you're doing all this stuff, it is intimate in many ways and it is quite female and so.
I went for the pash, I know that, but it wasn't well received. I'll give you the tip.
To the midwife?
Well, I was taken, the wife I was talking about, but I got yelled at, abused, punched, all sorts of things, which again is a good question. You would have seen so many different things, and I'm not sure if, Olga, you were going to ask this or not, but I'll jump the queue and not read the agenda like I often don't, or the rundown, I think we call it in the game. Tell us, there's got to be some stories where you've gone, oh, my God, what is going on here, or let me out of here, or this isn't going to end well, or those two will get divorced, anything like that?
Yeah, often you will think that. I had one guy, he was an absolute, I remember going in and she'd come in the night before for an induction And then I came in the next morning and he was just an arrogant so-and-so. And I'm like, oh, I said to the woman, how did you sleep? And he's like, oh, God, I just didn't sleep and the pillow was hard. And I'm like, not talking to you, my friend. This is all about her at the moment. So you'll get couples, like you just said, Big Paulie, where you'll think, they will not be together next year. There is no way. We had
What did you say his name was again?
we had one. I remember we came onto a shift one afternoon and you do like an allocation. So you give each midwife like looks after, if you've delivered, you might look after 4 women and babies. And she goes into this room and she comes out and she's like, I can't look after her. And I'm like, what? Why? And she's like, that's a dad from school and he's married to a friend of mine, but he's just had a baby with his girlfriend. I can't look after them. I'm like, oh, my God. So you get shit like that.
That's a good one.
Yeah. And another one that was great was one night, it was really late, really, really late in a big public hospital, and this girl turned up, full-blown labour, screaming, you name it, comes in with this man. She goes into the birth suite. We're like, come on, you come in too. We take him in. She has a baby very, very quickly, 10 minutes. And I think we turned around and said, oh, because most dads will cut the cord. Do you want to cut the cord? And he's like, on the taxi drive.
He didn't bother to pipe up a fraction earlier.
And you've got him in there.
The big
you want to hold, cut the cord.
Oh, well, I'm here now. Okay. I'm like, oh, you're going to name it after him?
Oh, so funny.
The big question is, was the meter still running?
Yeah, probably. So, yeah.
So, Heidi, what's something you wished every, I'll say father or even non-birth partner or just a birth partner understood before entering the delivery room?
I wish that they understood that that no matter what she has said previously, so you get lots of women who will say, I'm not going to have an epidural, I'm not having any drugs, I'm going to do it natural. And then they have 5 contractions and go, no way, get me the epidural. Or they get to the point where they're literally being the epidural and he'll be patting her on the back saying, no, darling, remember, now come on, honey, remember we had this conversation? You don't want pain relief. And she's like, am I allowed to swear?
Yeah.
Do we swear?
Yeah.
And she'll be like, get me the fucking epidural. Now, come on, Naomi, we had a chat about this and you said it's not in the birth plan. And we also stand there going, so I think the most important thing is it's her body, it's her birth. Let her have what she wants. She's a boss.
And plans don't always go to plan.
And as midwives, we will laugh. The people that come in with the biggest birth plans, like they want dolphin music and they want this and they want that, it doesn't work. You're like, yep, that's great. And it's great you've taken the time and energy to really think about it and you've got some informed, educated ideas. Never works. They're the ones that end up with a Caesar. They'll end up with forceps. Nothing will work.
Yeah, okay. So you don't be set. Don't be set on no drugs is another one.
No. Yeah. Don't be set on anything. You really can't plan for it as much as you think you can. You're not in control.
Yeah. Hang on a sec, Heidi. Dolphin music.
Dolphin music, what? Yeah. And
what is dolphin music?
Dolphin,
it's just background.
Surely that's not the sound they want. They don't want the tranquil waterfall or the nothing. They want a dolphin squealing in the background like Flipper.
One of the worst births I had was she decided she wanted to play nursery rhymes for the baby. So for fucking 8 hours we had Humpty Dumpty and all this shit. And then I remember the doctor walking in and she's like, what is this? Get this off. And she's like, no, I'm playing it for the baby. She's like, no, the baby can't hear yet.
So what's the best soundtrack you've had?
Oh, some people have really good soundtracks. Really good
Rocky?
soundtracks.
Eye of the tiger, it's the...
Yeah. Some people have really good ones. It's a good day when you walk in and go, this is good. Yeah.
But what's good? Is there's music that you enjoy yourself, whether it be modern or...
That I know, probably. Some people have stuff and I'm like, what's that? Yeah. But if I know it and you can sing along, that's a good day. It's good fun. Yeah.
We were dancing, bit of Kelly Holiday or whatever his name is, or Chabby Hatfield, whatever they do. I had to bring it up again. Okay.
Heidi, and just with your hospital experience, obviously, but home births, is that obviously some people would have that as their plan and that can work well, but obviously they may not have, they'd have a midwife present as well, wouldn't they?
You would hope so, yeah. Look, a proper home birth will have a midwife, absolutely. We'll have two registered midwives and we'll have always a backup plan that, they'll have that contract with the woman that if shit goes wrong, we're calling it, we're going to the hospital. And this is where home birth's got a really bad name, because there's a lot of midwives who probably practice outside of those boundaries, and that's when it can go really, really wrong. And that's the stuff you hear in the media, right? Like, bad stuff can happen everywhere. But when it's left for too long and there's not enough intervention, that's when things can go really wrong. And then you get free births and wild births, which are a whole nother.
What are they?
Another thing. So a wild birth or wild birth or a wild pregnancy is when you have nothing, no tests, no doctors, no nurses, nothing. You don't do anything. You don't see anyone. You go into labour and you have the baby in a creek somewhere.
Who the bloody hell would think that's a good idea?
I know, but it happens. It absolutely happens. Probably a lot up where you live, out in the hills of
Of Queensland, Sunshine Coast.
Mate, I'm a few hundred metres from the beach. I haven't watched a pregnancy or a birth since I've been here yet, so I'll be on the lookout now.
None of the ways.
No. Now, speaking of water, what about water births? Is that still a thing?
Yeah, you have to be accredited to do that. The hospital I worked in didn't do them. They're introducing them.
An accredited swim coach or an accredited midwife?
Wear your big gloves. Yeah. So I've been with a lot of women who labour in the water but don't birth in the water. But yeah, water birth's a good thing. Nothing wrong with that. That's all right.
Really?
It's all done well. Yeah. Just depends on the risk.
Not every experience is either is going to be beautiful and successful and things like that. So there's going to be signs along the way that you might have to medical escalation. So what are some of those signs that whether it be heart rates, blood pressure, those sort of things? But is there anything else that you highlight? And then how do you deal with that when you're highlighting that? You tell us what happens then.
Well, a lot of births we monitor. So at a minimum, you're checking a baby's heart rate every half an hour in active labour. So when the woman's contracting. So as midwives, that's our job, right? To check anything that's outside the norm. So the minute something starts heading outside the norm, like you said, Paul, whether it's a blood pressure, whether it's a whole balancing act, the entire labour between mum being well, baby being well, mum being well, baby being well, how much can both cope with? And we're really lucky in Australia. We've got a great medical system. We've got great technology. So we can often track a baby's heart rate during labour. And we know, we have to do essential compulsory study every couple of years, stay really up to date with our professional development and education, so that you can tell when things are starting to not head the way they should be. You absolutely get your true emergencies, and we call them code greens, where we're going now. Like there's no, you don't have time. You'll have to ask the woman quickly, are you okay? We're going to go and get this baby out, and you rush down to theatre for a Caesar. That happens, but more than that, normally you're heading that way. Like nothing might be happening. A woman's labouring, she's not dilating. You're like, how much longer do you want to do this for? Like, how long do we keep going? There's something that's stopping it. We know a lot, but we still don't know everything in terms of what's that baby's position. Why is it not moving? Why is it not coming out? So yes, you get absolute proper true emergencies, and then you get ones that you like, and we categorise them, Cat 1, Cat 2, things like that. So where you've got a little bit of time, but the baby needs to get out. So, and it's, and I've definitely had women that are fixated on their birth and don't want to go for a Caesar. And, you just have to say to them, you're here to have a baby. You're not here to have a birth. The birth is a byproduct. We want you to take home a healthy baby. So that's what we're here for. So, yeah, but it happens.
Great dialogue.
Yeah, it's really interesting. And there's obviously emergency cesareans, but then there's others that would choose to have a cesarean, whether that's based on previous or just the way they want to have their plan. In your experience, was there more cesareans versus naturals, or is it?
No, I don't think it ever really changed. No, I mean, unfortunately, a lot of women are choosing Caesars for birth trauma because they do have, which is so sad when they come in and say, I've had a really horrible experience. I do not want to do that again. And you can do an elective Caesar, as you would know, Olga, very well. Like, it's planned. It can be a really beautiful birth when it's all very calm and controlled. And a lot of women really prefer, if they've had when they felt out of control and it's been an emergency, to walk in on a Tuesday morning and know you're going to have your baby and everything goes really well. That's a really beautiful experience. So Caesars can be just as lovely as a natural birth. Yeah.
Talking about plans, I work with a colleague I work with and chat to regularly. Her sister was pregnant for the first grandchild, and she was nearly full term. They were out shopping at the shopping centre, And I think the sister wanted a little rest. She goes, okay, I'm going to run off to the shop and come back. Now, while she ran off, she goes, I was gone 5 minutes. I think she fainted or slipped and fell, knocked herself out.
Oh, geez.
So the sister's gone over. The pregnant one's knocked herself out. So then the sisters come back, and I think there's commotion, there's ambulance, etc. She's then taken to hospital. She wakes up with a baby in her arms.
Stop it.
So missed out. Yeah. So, well, they had to because they just wanted to monitor, and they're going full term, and whether they actually went into labour. She was not part of it at all. I think she was okay with it, but again, as you say, you have a plan. If it goes outside that plan, you end up with a healthy baby. That's what it's all about.
Yeah, and a lot of women she might be all right straight away, but then on reflection, grieve that process, grieve that that was taken away from her, and God,
it was pretty incredible.
Yeah,
I think that's great dialogue. What you said before, and in all industries, dialogue is key. And the fact that you can explain you're here to have a baby, not a birth, I think that's that they're great words to hopefully make people realise what they have to do when they have to do it. Obviously, but I was just going back here talking about natural births and caesarean. Now, not too sure on the statistics about this, but I reckon those males having births might not have too many natural ones. Would that be fair to say, Heidi?
You want me to tell you a
Yes, please.
We had one. So here you go. Right, I'm really. So he was born a she, so assigned female at birth, and had started.
Thank you for that explanation, because I always wonder about these transgender men or ladies, which way they started.
Right,
so thank you for explaining. Thank you.
And transitioned to a male, so came in pregnant with a beard and a hairy chest, but still had his uterus and all his genitalia to get pregnant, and got pregnant because he was living life as a male. He was a prostitute. So he was a male prostitute with female
genitals
and got pregnant.
So a lot to unpack here.
A lot to unpack. And looking after him, you'd be like, so it just was an absolute, like, you look like a man, but we refer to you as dad, but you're having a baby. Like, it's nuts.
Okay,
nuts.
So let me just run the tape back over this. So we have a person giving birth with the uterus intact, the big belly, the mustachio and beard, no willy.
Like you two, but pregnant and having a baby.
And wanted to be called female.
No, male.
He was male, so they were female.
And
let me just go picture this again. They are a prostitute. Well, who the hell's going to see them?
I know.
Who's paying for that?
No. It's a thing. It's apparently a real. There is. Yeah.
What's going on with this world? I'm clueless about that stuff. Oh my goodness! Yeah. So that's the thing, like a little fetish, if you will.
Probably.
My God, Olga, as a male, can you think of anything? Could you possibly have one reason why that would be of any interest to you whatsoever?
No. I always say it was a heterosexual man. I don't, but even as a gay man, I don't know how that would work either.
The whole person looking like a man, living their life as a man, and having a baby is, it's pretty confronting when you're caring for them. You're just like, wow, okay, yeah. And I remember listening to another podcast once, and it was two gay guys, but same sort of thing. And I remember him saying that they chose to go private because he said, I had these visions of ringing a hospital in the middle of the night and saying, my husband's having a baby. He's like, that was just not going to work. So we had to go where people knew who we were. So, yeah. But I've dealt with all the surrogates. Like, we've had a few gay guys come in and, same-sex couples, male or female, and surrogates we've had. We had two same-sex gay guys and they had a surrogate. So that was a great story. So families are made in so many different ways these days, so many different ways.
I think in this day and age you can at least understand that. and yeah. Anyway, moving on, and we're talking about caring for people. So I would imagine you meet the mum and the dad for that matter, and it could be a long birthing process and along labour and all that sort of stuff. So what do? You go, righto, it's my shift finishes at 8 o'clock. Good luck, Billy. Good luck, Jill. I'm off. See you later. And out you go.
Yeah.
Or do you tag team your mate? Or for those who you've had a lot to do with and you've cared for, do you say, okay, I want to be here till the end? Or how does that sort of work? Because I'd imagine that's difficult when you've got personal relationships.
Absolutely. And there's always going to be couples that you have a really great rapport with that, you just probably, if you met them in everyday life at the pub, you'd really like them. So there's always those couples that you're like, oh, wow, we've had a great day and I'm going to leave. And I think when you're a student, you've got to get 50 births, you've got to tick these births off to graduate. And so as a student, you're gung-ho, so you'll bloody stay till 4 a.m. if it means you're going to get a baby.
Oh, so the pre-work does, until the baby's delivered, doesn't count.
Yeah, you've got to get hands-on and catch these babies. So you get pretty keen, but then as a more seasoned midwife, and when you've done an 8-hour shift and you're knackered, you often are like, look, I'm so – and if you think it's imminent, there are times where I'm like, if it's going to happen in the next half hour, I'm going to stick around. But most of the time you'll be like, you know what, it could be another 4 hours. I'm going to get out of here. I would often, and you always hand it over. It's one-to-one care in a birth suite, so you're always handing it over to another midwife. Sometimes I'd ring, you might wake up the next day and say, hey, I'm just ringing to see what happened. Or the midwife will text you and say, baby boy, blah, blah, blah.
You're lying in bed about 3 a.m. and the phone bzz, bzz, bzz on the side, and you pick up the phone and go, oh, fantastic, Jill had a baby girl, and you turn over, speak to your husband or your partner, and you go, oh, Jill had a baby boy, and I reckon old mate hubby goes, yeah, righto, no worries, thanks for that. Yeah, good one, good night.
Nah. And often you'll see them again most of the time, unless you've
your husband or the father or the baby.
Well, both. It just depends what night it is, doesn't it? So generally you'll go back in to see them when they've had the baby. You'll work again and see them, which is really lovely. And that's a big thing about midwifery care. They talk about continuity of care, that you have better outcomes when you have someone you know and trust and you see them a few times. So
what's the funniest thing someone has ever said to you, Heidi, or said during birthing, not necessarily to you? And have they had to apologise for it the next day?
Well, you get the old cliches where you get the bloke that's like, she's had a baby, she's had a tear or an episiotomy where the doctor's cut her, we've had to cut her to get the baby out. And you'll get the old things like, and this is not funny, but you'll get the blokes are like, oh, it's like watching my favourite pub burn down. You're like, oh, mate. Or the old, pop an extra stitch in there. It's like... But in terms of funny, there's so much. I mean, particularly when women have the happy gas, sometimes they're off their heads and they don't know what they're saying to you. That's hilarious.
And you sort of touched on it before with the man coming in about, patting on the back, you said no drugs. What about the expert birth partner? They've read the books. They feel like they're fully part of it.
Oh, yeah, you get those ones. Yeah, who are really...
And they'll be questioning what you're doing as well?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we had one who was like, what are you doing? What are you doing that for? What are you doing that for? And they'd be right up in their face, like 10, 9, push, 7, 6. You're like, hey, get out, let her do it. So, yeah, you get all types. You'll get the guys probably a bit like you, Big Paulie, who are like on their phones watching the sport, like, just let me know when you need me, like when are we on? And then you get the ones...
Pretty much how it went.
Yeah, and then you get the ones that are totally invested. Yeah, it's almost either or sometimes too. Yeah.
It's a very fine balance. And
Oh, sorry, we did have one. So talking about wardThe, we had one night where it's like, and we say in antenatal classes, you're welcome to get in the bath, but bring your bathers. Like you have to, and this poor midwife walked in and she put the woman in the bath and obviously she hasn't got any clothes on, that's fine. She's having a baby. And she turns around to do something, turns back and there's Bazza naked in there with her. She's like, okay.
Bazza thought he might be a rough chance.
Bazza. And then there was another one where we came in the morning and we said to the midwife, how was your night? She's like, oh my God. So this woman was in the bath for hours labouring, toilets right next to the bath. She said, I turn around and he's taking a shit, literally, while I'm with the woman next to the bath, talking her through it. And he's like, sorry. She's like, oh, this cannot be happening.
So was that Bazza as well?
I think it might have been Bazza or Bazza, either or.
Now that leads to another question, myth or otherwise. So you talk about maybe, the wife's in the bath and the birth might be a little way off and you might feel like chancing your arm perhaps, which, I wouldn't recommend. But is it true or otherwise that maybe a little bit of how's your father before the birth, does that bring it on? Does that bring the birthing on or is that a bit of a myth?
Bit of something, something.
Bit of something, something. How's you for that? Woo woo.
You need a bucket load of something, something to actually do anything. So unless you're shooting buckets, nah.
Yeah, right.
Let's stick to that myth.
Well, maybe that was the problem.
Oh, wow. This has been amazing, Heidi. Loving it.
Well, where do we go to from here, Oga? So what about? So we've talked a lot about the mothers and the fathers, obviously, but what about the doctors? Is there some doctors you prefer to work with or don't work with, and we don't want you to get to name Dr. Smith at all, but is there something? Oh, geez, my shifts with so and so, and you roll your eyes internally, of course, or there's some you just love to work with, like any workplace, I guess.
I worked with a doctor, and he was incredibly arrogant, and almost like you touched on before. I remember having this couple and I was looking after them, and he was standing in for another doctor, so it wasn't their regular doctor. I rang him and I'm like, things are happening, blah, 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 blah. He's like, yep, no worries. And he came down and he just stood there and he took his suit jacket off and he just went like that, just dropped it into my hand. Thanks, nurse. Well, okay, I'm not a nurse, I'm a midwife, but all right. And then literally came in, and as we touched on before, walked in, did a vaginal examination and walked out. And the dad turned around to him and he goes, did that just happen? Did that man just walk in, put his fingers up my wife and walk out without introducing himself, without saying what he was doing, which is actually obstetric violence, like there is a term for it.
He could have at least bought her a drink.
Well, he introduced himself.
Well, and look, in his defence, and it's a very mild defence, but he might have been late for golf.
I think I probably called him off the golf course. Absolutely. Absolutely. So, yes, you do get, and that's an old school doctor. I must say, all the obstetricians I've worked with have been brilliant. 99.9% of them. Pretty collaborative, working relationships. You get to know what they like. They know how you work. They'll trust you. We trust them. So, no, I must say I've been pretty lucky. But you do get the ones, that really old school hierarchical doctor who can be pretty scary. Yeah.
Probably 70 years old and, hasn't quite got the bedside manner of the younger ones coming through these days, or the
definitely changed.
Savviness.
Yeah, definitely changed.
So, Heidi, if midwives got trophies, what would the categories be?
Oh, my goodness. If midwives got trophies, well, they're all a bit mad. Sometimes we call ourselves mad wives. So, a little bit mad. They're pretty passionate, midwives.
Why are you mad?
I reckon you're mad because it's shift work. Shift work sends you mad. And you're dealing with big stuff. Like,
And I'll say it. I'll say it so you don't have to. You're dealing with people, mostly females, who are off their head emotionally, physically, mentally, everythingly. And you've got to just mop up and keep doing what you have to do. Yeah. And you've probably been called a few things too, I'd imagine, in your time.
Oh, God, I've been kicked. And it's so funny because often the ones are the nastiest that you're like, oh, you're a bitch. 5 minutes after they had the baby, they're like, that was amazing. Oh, my God, thank you. And you're like, you had horns coming out of your head. You were like a devil 5 minutes ago. So, I think, trophies, I don't know. I think midwives are bloody amazing. I think that we probably don't get enough credit for what we do. I think, and that's unfortunately, particularly if you work in a private system, we'll do all the hard yards for 8 hours. The doctors come in for 10 minutes here, 10 minutes there, and then, get the big bucks, and us midwives are there working our guts out all day. So midwives are pretty amazing. Yeah. I don't know what the trophy categories would be, but they're pretty cool.
I'll do a quick fire round for you, Hyde.
Okay.
So what is more stressful, a complicated birth or a dad or birthing partner holding a GoPro?
It's more stressful. It's on his head and he's trying to go right in.
Have you seen that?
Yes.
Who the heck? What is wrong with the world? Who's videotaping that?
And then you were showing her in between contractions. Look, I can see the head. It's coming. And she's like, I do not need to see that.
Because with respect, it's a wonderful thing and it's a wonderful event. But it couldn't be pretty. It couldn't be pretty, could it?
Need footage of it. Like, where do you watch it?
Well, I reckon you'd watch that just about as many times as your wedding video. None.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Newborn smell. Is it magical or scientifically suspicious?
Well, I remember giving a mum her baby, and often we get them to help catch it and put it up on the chest. And we went to put it on, and she goes, "Can you not? She has my Giny juice all over it. Go off and clean her first."
Wow. The old.
And I've never thought about that because everyone comes in and kisses the baby, and we don't bath babies often for 2 days. You've got grandma and grandpa coming in, mwah, mwah, mwah.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's magical. I'm not sure.
Well, you
When it's your own, it is.
exactly. You're all over it because it's you. But when you say catch, does that actually really happen? I mean, is it a terminology? But surely you don't sit 4 yards from the mound, for want of a better word, and say, righto, here she comes, and you sort of juggle, then dive forward and catch it. Surely that doesn't happen these days.
No, it doesn't. But they do call it catching a baby. Yeah, we catch babies.
Is that a throwback to the old days where perhaps that did happen and you just sort of spit one out 3 feet or?
Maybe you're there. I don't know. Yeah, maybe. I don't know where it comes from. But particularly while you're starting in a house saying you've got to catch 50 babies, that's the term we use. Yeah. Don't know where it comes from.
If you're tending a C-section, well, you're not really catching that one. Does that still count though?
No, that doesn't count. No.
Really?
And then you lead into a whole other thing. Now there's all this maternal assisted Caesars. So that's a whole nother. So
we'll have to get you on next week.
But you have a screen up when you're having a Caesar, right? Generally there's a surgical screen. So the mum and the dad's, obviously her head's up here, dad's here. You can't see what's happening because it's surgery. They're opening you up, your guts are coming out, they're doing all that.
Lovely.
Well, now they have this thing where they'll put sterile gloves on the mum, and because she wants to experience catching her baby, bring her baby, they'll lower the curtain and she'll actually bring her baby out of her abdomen. So that's called a maternal assisted Caesar.
Gee whiz.
And you can do paternal assisted Caesars, you could do grandparent assisted Caesars, like that's the new thing that we've done a few of.
Well, this little black duck over here, Big Paulie, won't be doing any Caesars, but here on in. But
will you be a grandparent one day, maybe, mate? All right, Heidi, superpower. You've got a superpower. Is it, as a midwife, is it patience, a calm voice, or a radar for incoming chaos?
Or D, all of the above?
Yeah, maybe all the above. Patience. You're not allowed to, like incoming chaos, you're not allowed to use the Q word when you're on a maternity ward. If you say, gee, it's a bit quiet, it's like a swear word. Everyone's like, no. Full moon. You don't ever want to work on a full moon. You don't want to work when there's a storm. Babies galore.
Really? Yeah, income.
Full moon, babies.
Yeah.
And is there a busier month like in real estate? You sell in November, December or October, whatever?
Yeah. When do you reckon? What month of the year do you think might be busiest?
I'm going to say September.
I'd say September, yep.
Yeah. Christmas baby, New Year's babies. Bang on.
So
it's nuts.
So let's just call it March gestation. No, that's not the right word, is it? March conception.
No, Christmas, New Year.
No, it's a Christmas conception.
And then they're having it 9 months later.
Yeah, so that's like November. That's a September baby, isn't it?
That's when you get your annual one, isn't it, Big Paulie?
And the only time in recent history that has changed is COVID.
Oh, yeah. What happened there?
Because everyone's home.
It's everywhere.
And so everyone was just doing it. So then we have baby. They were more spread out. That's the only time. But normally September, October, crazy.
Yeah, well,
crazy.
We said. I think we said when is the most common period to have a baby. We said September. You were saying conception in January, I think, or December. So we're all right. We're right, okay.
Except for you mentioned in March, mate. Anyway, so.
March.
All right. If labour was a movie genre, would it be a comedy, drama, action, or all three?
It'd be a horror.
All right. Partners during contractions. Are they a coach, a cheer squad, or deer in headlights?
Probably a coach. Most of them would be a coach. Yep. Because they're being dragged.
The taxi driver, he was a getaway car.
Poor bloke.
He hasn't got over it. Oh, God.
Oh, that was so funny.
He gets back to the depot and he says, boys, you wouldn't believe what happened tonight.
I know.
Well, we've learned a lot tonight, Big Paulie. Anything else for you, Big Paulie?
No, I'm still trying to unpack that fellow who had a baby.
You're going to listen to this episode about 8 times.
I'm not going to sleep. I'll have to draw it out. Now, this guy, he was a prostitute and he was pregnant. He didn't have a willy, which is good, but he had a big belly and a gina, and he probably left his giny juices somewhere. I don't know. I'll have to write that down, Oga.
Yeah, you're going to need maybe a pictorial, break it down for you.
Well, Big Paulie, I knew we'd learn something.
The old "Where Did I Come From" book.
It's all like that. You can't do that anymore, can you? Mummy and Daddy had a tickle. Remember that book? Do you have that book? It's like
I don't remember that. Is that how it started?
Mummy
and Daddy had a tickle.
Yeah, that it felt good. And then, it was like Daddy had a sneeze and, you were made.
Now it's about my birthing partner.
Yeah, that's
birthing
right.
Parent.
And that's right.
My chest feeding.
Yeah, see, you have learned something. Well done.
Oh, I can't believe it's chest feeding.
I have. I will not sleep. Well, I absolutely have learned everything tonight.
Our first female guest has really opened the pathway for us, hasn't it, Big Paula? We've learned so much more, even though we have been in the birthing suite before ourselves, but there's so much we did not know, I can tell you for sure. But Heidi, always a pleasure. It took me back to radio days there. Just very natural, very giving.
I know. We still got it, haven't we? We still got it.
Got it. You have got it. We could talk for hours.
I reckon that 5 to 7 slot must still be open on a Wednesday.
Well,
no one else would be taking it. Maybe we can. What was her name? Betty Oga. Maybe we ring up Betty and see if she's still around. Maybe she's not, and she can ring in every now and then.
I don't think she would be.
Betty, happy birthday, Betty. You're 112. Remember me? No?
Oh, yeah. But thank you so much for joining us, Heidi. First show 2026, first female guest. That has been an absolute pleasure. Big Paulie?
Yes, thank you, Heidi. A bag of laughs, very entertaining, and thank you. And look, it's without a shadow of a doubt, you have been our best female interviewee ever. So thank you very much, and love talking to you.
Thanks, guys. Keep up the good work.
Oh, well, what a bundle of energy Heidi was, Big Paulie. We learned a lot there, a lot of inside stories that you wouldn't know that happened if you weren't part of it itself.
We just discussed things, Oga, that I never thought I'd ever discuss again. And the big problem I have now is I'm not sure if I'm pregnant. But if I am, and maybe I can be, I'm going to check in with Heidi and her crew because she's an absolute ripper.
The world of midwifery, we've learned a lot today. I think I need to re-listen back to that just to remember some of those stories, but absolutely fantastic and a fantastic share from Heidi. And I think we've learned a lot, and hopefully our listeners learn a lot from inside the birthing suite. Now,
well, particularly our male listeners, I think, August, certainly they'd be as clueless as you and I. And our female listeners, and there's plenty of them, I'm sure they're nodding their head with everything that Heidi said. And I reckon at their next little Mothers Club meeting, whether it be over a cup of coffee or a glass of Chardonnay, they'll be, oh, how's that, Heidi? Yeah, my Paul, he was like that. He was bloody terrible. Yeah, he was blah, blah. So I think everybody can resonate. Everybody's had children can resonate with those stories. And the ones who haven't had children, Oga, they've got a lot to look forward to.
Now, Big Paulie, I had an update for you that I haven't shared. Pre-Christmas.
Please do, Oga.
We're talking about Audi. I launched on my birthday with the electric golf buggy.
Now, you haven't spoken about this to me, Oga, but for those who maybe didn't hear that episode, you wandered down Aldi, and for goodness sake, why you spent $500 on a golf buggy at Aldi when it's still got me beat. But I did say, if you go back and play the tape, it wasn't going to end well, Oga, so please tell me otherwise, will you?
It's getting picked up next Tuesday with a full refund.
Well, the good news is you didn't lose any money, but what on earth would make you think it would work?
That middle aisle, I'm not even walking past it. But you need to set. Look, I did get the one thing I did get, which I'll talk to you about very quickly, is the pickleball net and bats and balls. I know you're a bit of a pickleball head. What do they call them? Pickle heads. $40 purchase, can't go wrong. anything. I've had 2 fails, $500 golf buggy and a $700 TV. I'm not going there. I'm not going there, Paulie. I'm telling myself until I do it again.
The moral of the story, okay, you can't bugger up a $40 pickleball set with a net and a couple of bats and a ball. Nobody can stuff that up. Aldi is only good for things that you like that, and cheap ham and cheap focaccias and cheap pizzas and frozen foods, okay, and the convenience. But electronics, please, okay, promise me you'll stay away from Aldi for electronics.
It's over. My relationship with that middle aisle, expensive items in that middle aisle is over. I can tell you. Officially broken up.
Mate, you want paint, you go to Hames or British Dulux or whatever they're called. You want hardware, you go to Bunnings. Stick to your lane, Ogre. You don't go to see the doctor, when you got a leaky tap, do you? Stick to your lane, Ogre.
Oh, funny. But just on pickleball, Paulie, before we wrap it up, you were telling me that there's a new place just opened up. Have you been down to christen it yet? New pickleball centre on the sunny coast?
Absolutely. I think it's called Pickle Palace of all things. But I tell you what, so they've got an inside session and then they've got an outside part. Gee, it's hot, I tell you. You play inside, there's no air circulating. But yeah, look, undefeated still, Ogre. And great news is we've got the Ray White Pickleball Challenge coming up. So last year we had a Ray White into a big competition. I'll tell you what, I'm not sure we were recording at this stage, but I was ripped off, right? Okay, so what they did is they paired everybody up and you had games and you win 9-3. And anyway, I won every game in doubles, 9-3, then you change partners and have an aggregate score and all that. Anyway, they're announcing the finalists, so-and-so, so-and-so. Mate, I lost about 12 points over 5 games, and I said, mate, look, I'm not dirty, but why aren't I in the final? I hardly lost a point. And he goes, oh, what's your name? And he goes through the whole score, and he says, oh, you lost the last one, 11-2. I said, lost it, mate. I won it 11-2. And he goes, oh, sorry. So I've gone from not even in a position to win the whole thing because administrative error. So, I'll be giving pickleball a dead set flogging between now and I think it's April for the next competition. I'm not leaving that joint until Ogre, I win it.
Well, I look forward to hearing how you go in that, big Paulie, because when you get something set your mind on, you're going to take it by the scruff of the neck and take it to the end, I can tell. And you'll probably be in charge of the admin. I'll do the scoring, lads. I'll do it. I'm in charge. Well, Big Paulie, it's good to be back. First female listener, first female guest tonight. And what a guest that was in Heidi Shaw. I loved it. And look forward to bringing on future guests. And we do have more women lined up. It's not we don't just do females all of a sudden, but we wanted to get them out there before we had any complaints about the lack thereof. So great kickoff tonight with Heidi Shaw.
But to our listeners and our devoted followers, download it, replay it, do whatever you like, and you can listen to us anytime on your favourite devices, on your favourite streaming services.
Thanks a lot, Big Paulie, and we'll catch you next time.
See you, Ogre.
Cheerio. You've been listening to another episode of Clueless with Ogre and Big Paulie. Follow, like, subscribe, even leave a review. Do it all. We'd love to hear from you.